Revealed, 200 unexpected wedding invites to my farm transformed my life in an incredible way. Sam stood frozen on his porch, holding the avalanche of invitations in his hands. 200 wedding invites, a mountain of embossed paper promising joy and celebration. What in the world? He murmured, blinking at the envelopes that had suddenly taken over his simple farmhouse mailbox. It felt surreal, like a punchline to a small-town joke he wasn't in on. Sam, the 45-year-old farmer with calloused hands and tired eyes, had always been more familiar with hardship than the sweetness of nuptials, but as he thumbed through each delicate card, a twist of nostalgia tugged at his heartstrings. Each name scribbled in swirly ink carried memories of helping neighbors clear snow from their driveways, lending a hand during harvest, or just sharing a smile over the dirt roads of Maplewood. For so long, satisfaction had been measured in crops and clovers, but he didn't realize that his kindness had rooted enough goodwill to sprout this avalanche of invites. A flicker of pride flared within him, a spark in the shadow of financial turmoil, yet, with the warmth came doubt, like a thick fog rolling in off the fields. Was he really worthy of all this attention? The chasm of socio-economic divides loomed large in town, casting long shadows over his humble farm. Sam had spent too many nights wondering if he was just the poor farmer who lived on the outskirts of Maplewood, hardly recognized by his neighbors. Those invitations felt like a light switch flipped off as quickly as it flicked on. As Sarah, his estranged daughter, sauntered back into town after years filled with dreams and disappointments, his heart sank. Would these weddings help bridge the distance between them? Their reunion had been strained, an awkward smile, a tight hug, but the wounds ran deep. Sam desperately wanted to shield her from the weight of his struggles. She saw him as the man who couldn't provide, and he saw her as the daughter who had turned her back. "Dad, I'm here to follow my dreams, not pick up the pieces," she had snapped, her frustration coursing through his chest like a sharp thorn. In the race to mend their relationship, Sam leaned into his invitations, serving drinks and comfort food at every wedding, pouring his heart into the plates he set on the long tables filled with laughter and smiles. Each gesture, though from love, further tangled their already complicated bond. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. At the community gathering, tension exploded. Sam stood, heart racing, as he found his voice. These farmers, they bust their backs for this land. We're not just here to fill pockets for those who've forgotten where they came from. His call shook the air, catching Sarah's eye. The crowd hushed, their gazes drifting from his weathered face to his worn boots, the blood, sweat, and tears etched deep in every line of his hardened skin. As that moment crackled with the electricity of revelation, something shifted. Did they finally see him? Did Sarah begin to unravel her misconceptions? But just as hope glittered in his chest, an unexpected event slammed his world into darkness. A shadow loomed over Sam, casting doubt on everything he had fought to build. Could he truly rise above judgment and repair the crumbling ties with his daughter? As Sam confronted the consequences, a new question emerged, unfurling quietly but urgently like the promise of spring. Was the love he held for his family strong enough to overcome the judgments of a community that had always labeled him as less? The days blurring together felt both heavy and light. With each wedding Sam catered, the rhythm of laughter and celebration became a constant backdrop to his internal struggle. His heart hummed with unspoken hope, but every laugh echoed like a reminder of his distance from Sarah. The flickering lights of the neighbors celebrating under the stars felt like another world. One crisp evening at the Johnson wedding, he overheard a comment that cut deep. Two guests laughed, exchanging tales of the "let us help the poor farmer" that seemed to be floated around town. Sam clenched his jaw, warmth pooling in his ears. How could they reduce his years of toil and sacrifice to gossip over punch? It took everything in him not to lash out. Instead, he focused on the task at hand, pouring drinks, serving cake. He didn't want to lose sight of what he believed in, but every glance felt like a reminder of a world he could never be part of. But in the midst of the swirling chaos, unexpectedly, he felt a light touch on his shoulder. Turning around, he saw Sarah. Her eyes held a world of emotions: confusion, curiosity, maybe even anger. They stood in silence as the din of the party faded around them, momentarily washed away in a tide of genuine connection that neither of them had expected. "Dad, can we talk?" Her voice cracked slightly but was firm enough to hold him steady. It was the first time in years he felt seen, not just as a father, but as a man. Suddenly, the weight of the wedding guests, the laughter, and the clattering dishes faded into background noise. "Sure, let us step outside," he replied, trying to keep his voice even, as if acknowledging the storm-enduring words she'd ever uttered. They escaped the bright lights, stepping into the comforting embrace of the evening chill. Under the canopy of stars, the tension dissolved into the cool night air. Sam shifted nervously, searching for the right words. The memories rushed back: fishing trips, late-night stories, and the days when life felt like an easy dance rather than a constant struggle. "Why haven't you let me in? I came back to find you, to see you," but she paused, biting her lip as if to hold back the wave of words. "Every time I think of home, I think of failure. Mine and yours." Her confession stung, but he knew it for what it was: a revelation of vulnerability. "I didn't want you to see this," he gestured around, his heartbreak manifesting at the edges of his words. "This struggle. I thought I could shield you from my failures." A moment of silence enveloped them, filled with the power of unspoken truths, the kind that carved the foundations of relationships. The flickering stars watched over them as time hung suspended, both fragile and infused with possibility. "Maybe we need to stop pretending," Sarah whispered, a crack forming in her tough exterior. "Maybe we both need to admit our failures, together." Sam's heart raced with a mix of dread and exhilaration. Could he really take that step? What if doing so ripped open old wounds he had tried to bury? Yet, something new glimmered in Sarah's eyes, an opening. As he took a deep breath to address his fears, a loud cheer erupted from the wedding party, snapping them back to reality. In that moment, the warmth from the celebration felt like an invitation. Could they rebuild, not only as father and daughter but as allies in a battle against their own insecurities? "Let us go back in there," Sam said, determination warming his tone. "But first, I need to know, what do you value? What do you dream for yourself?" As they stepped back towards the lights, both felt the shift: the beginning of a journey they could take together. The laughter and music welcomed them back, but this time, it felt different. The shadows of doubt lingered, but maybe, just maybe, there was hope to be found among the celebrations. What dreams lay ahead for Sarah now that she was beginning to see the truth? And how could Sam prepare for the storm that was sure to come as they faced the world together, hand in hand? The wedding party pulsed with life as Sam and Sarah returned. The music wrapped around them, a comforting blanket of familiarity that mingled with the scattered voices of celebration. Sam felt the throb of the bass reverberate in his chest, a heartbeat in tune with his own. But this time, he was no longer just a bystander. He was walking beside Sarah, and that changed everything. "Why don't you go dance?" he suggested, watching as her cheeks flushed with the joy of a beat she hadn't heard in years. The long stretches of their silence felt lighter, a rift starting to seal as she gave him a hesitant smile. "You really think so?" she asked, surprise lighting her features. "Yeah, go ahead. I'll be right here." He gestured toward the dance floor, filled with couples twirling, lost in the moment. As Sarah stepped away, Sam caught a glimpse of the girl she used to be, the one who danced with wild abandon, arms spread like the wings of a butterfly. He savored that image, wishing she hadn't felt she had to hide it away. He turned his gaze outward, allowing himself to enjoy the warmth of the crowd. But the laughter that once felt foreign now rang more clearly, its vibrations shaking loose the cobwebs of neglect that had settled in his heart. Perhaps sharing their stories, both the failures and the hidden dreams, was a way forward. Maybe they could redefine family by facing the ugly bits together. Not too long after, Sarah was back at his side, breathless, cheeks flushed and eyes bright. "I remembered how fun it used to feel," she said, her voice barely above a whisper, overwhelmed yet hopeful. Good. Let that energy in, he encouraged, his heart swelling with pride. You're allowed to feel all of it, even the good stuff. I want more of that, she stated firmly, and it struck a chord within him. Her desire to embrace joy echoed the longing he harbored deep down. There's so much we can do together, Sam replied, the weight of his words lingering sweetly in the air. We just have to be real with each other, right? Right, she agreed, and they shared a smile that seemed to bridge the years of separation. But just as the mood began to feel lighter, a figure lumbered through the crowd. Henry, the Johnsons' neighbor, eyes darting around with that familiar judgment. He spotted Sam and Sarah, squinting as if trying to decipher a riddle he couldn't quite solve. Sam's stomach knotted. Stay close, Sarah, he murmured. Just stay close. Henry sniffed the air in mock contemplation before striding over. Funny seeing you two together. You decided to support her dreams now, Sam? Or still pushing your loveless farm agenda? Sam's pulse quickened. He could sense Sarah tensing beside him, that familiar resolve rising. Dad, I know, don't, Sam interrupted, his eyes fixed on Henry, who wore the smirk of someone who thrived on tearing others down. You have no idea the journey we've been on. Henry laughed, but it sounded hollow. What journey? One of avoidance and disappointment? He turned away, aiming to wade back into the crowd. To growth, actually, Sarah piped up, voice strong and clear. A journey that's about facing failures, not hiding from them. I'm done being ashamed of my dad's struggles. Sam stole a glance at her. Pride swelled in his chest, but Henry wasn't the only adversary in the room. He saw other curious eyes turning their way, some judging, others intrigued. But one thing was certain, they were revealing themselves at last. As Henry walked away, Sam looked at Sarah, realizing this confrontation was only the beginning. You really meant that, didn't you? Absolutely, she replied, her confidence burning bright. And I want to explore what dreams we can create together moving forward. His heart thudded with a daring hope. But the more he thought about the future, the more questions arose. What did those dreams look like? What would it take to chase after them? Underneath the dancing lights, they stood at the edge of a turning point, ready to confront the history of their past but also poised to carve out a new path. Yet uncertainty lurked in the shadows, whispering doubts. Louder than before. What obstacles awaited them as they committed to their dreams? And would they find the courage to face them together? The light sparkled overhead like a million stars, but Sam felt a weight that muted the allure of the celebration. The dance floor pulsed with energy, but his heart thudded like a war drum. He glanced down at Sarah, her face lit up with the evening's joy, yet a flicker of apprehension shadowed her features. What do we do now? He asked softly, half afraid of the answer. Sarah's expression morphed from bright to contemplative. We keep going. Together. Her words settled in the space between them, but where to go next? Sam thought back to Henry's derisive remarks, the sharp edge of his father's words still ringing like a bell of shame. I'm not sure everyone is ready for that, you know. Some people will always see the past. It's not about them, Sarah replied, a newfound determination infusing her voice. This is our life. Our future. As she spoke, Sam noticed the surrounding chatter dimming. Eyes were on them, scrutiny painting each gaze with layers of judgment. Yet, as he met Sarah's fierce gaze, something shifted. He realized they were no longer merely weathering the storm of their past. Together, they were actively seeking the light. He took a deep breath. What if we invite other people into this? Into our journey? Sarah raised an eyebrow, curiosity piqued. You mean like a gathering? Yeah. A big one, he said, the idea swimming into focus. Where we share our story, our struggles. Maybe even turn it into something hopeful. The words flowed before he could hold them back. What if we do a community event? I could invite folks from the farm, and those families from the town. Show them what we're building. Her eyes glimmered with excitement. That could be amazing. But how do we get people interested? We can start with this wedding. Use it as a springboard, Sam suggested, already imagining the possibilities. We could create a flyer or something, share what we're passionate about, show how we're growing. But what's the actual goal? She asked, as a frown creased her brow. To let people see our struggles or focus on the triumphs? Both, Sam said, still grappling with the overpowering urge to hide the hardest parts. People connect through vulnerability. We need to show them we're not perfect. That this whole thing it's a work in progress. A sprinkle of laughter erupted around them as two friends broke into an impromptu dance move on the floor, but Sam only half registered it. He was caught up in the whirlwind of their plans, the vision of the future expanding in his mind. What about the actual invite? That's a lot of names, she added almost as if to pull them back to reality. Sure, it'll be daunting, he admitted, heart racing. But think about it. Families from the town, even old friends. We could tell our story and let it resonate. Okay, I'm in, she said, her voice laced with anticipation. But there's something deeper we need to discover first. What are we actually truly dreaming about? The question lingered between them, echoing with promise and uncertainty. It felt like standing on the edge of a precipice, wanting to leap into the unknown but unsure if there would be net to catch them. You're right, he finally said, wrestling with that apprehension again. But maybe we'll figure it out as we go together. Their hands found each other's, a small but potent gesture of unity against the looming uncertainties. The joy around them flourished, but it wasn't the dancing, loud music, or cups of punch that felt intoxicating. It was the exhilarating idea of opening a door to their shared story. What would it take to truly embrace their shared ambitions? And would the guests they invited be prepared to support them on this journey of honesty and growth? The days following the wedding were a whirlwind of planning and dreaming. Sam and Sarah tossed ideas around while leaning against the wooden railing of the farm porch, looking out over the fields catching the golden light of late afternoon. The thought of reaching out to the community ignited their spirits, but it didn't come without its own set of fears. I think we should create a theme for the event, Sam suggested one evening, tapping his fingers against the railing. Something that speaks to us. Perhaps about growth? Renewal? Sarah nodded slowly, her brow furrowing as she considered it. I like that. We could use garden imagery, the idea of cultivating community just like we cultivate the land. As they brainstormed, the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting warm hues of orange and pink. Sam felt an electric buzz in the air, an excitement mingled with anxiety. But how do we reach out? Everyone in town knows the history between us and Henry's family. Will they even care? Maybe they will, Sarah replied, her voice steady. People love stories. Especially stories of struggle and hope. We just have to be honest. Show them that we've overcome. Sam swallowed hard, the thought of unveiling their journey laid bare was daunting. Yeah, honesty. Seems simple enough, right? Look, Sarah said, leaning closer. This is a chance to redefine ourselves, not just in their eyes but in our own. We have more power than we realize. He met her gaze, and in that moment, he felt something shift within him. It wasn't just the fear of being judged, it was the thrill of possibility. They could control the narrative. Together, they could show everyone where they had begun, the challenges they faced, and how they had risen above them. All right, he finally said, determination warming his heart. Let us start drafting an invitation. Something genuine. Maybe a little story about us and this farm? Let us do it, she replied, a bright smile emerging on her face. We'll share our triumphs and struggles, but we should also emphasize how much community means to us. That's the spirit we're trying to cultivate. They spent hours working on the invite. Their pens danced across the paper as they shared snippets of their journey, the forced separations, the heartfelt reunions, and ultimately, their dreams of fostering a space where vulnerability could coexist with strength. Sarah added quotes about growth, and Sam illustrated it with simple sketches of their winter garden, barren but alive with potential. When they finally finished, they stepped back to admire their work. It felt raw and real. The invitation embodied everything they hoped to express. Are we really going to send this to everyone? Even people who might not support us? Sarah asked, uncertainty creeping back into her voice. Especially them, Sam replied, the conviction settling in his chest. This isn't just about celebrating our journey, it's about inviting everyone to be a part of the next chapter. We need to embrace the people who may not believe in us yet. The idea of facing their fears head-on ignited a spark. It was terrifying, but also liberating. They began dividing up the list of names, talking through who they would approach and how to handle any potential backlash. As they prepared to print their invitations, the weight of possibility began to feel lighter. Sam's heart raced with exhilaration, and for the first time, he wasn't thinking about the past he had been running from. He was envisioning the future he wanted to build. However, they both knew change would come with resistance. The idea of inviting those who hadn't always welcomed them into the fold was daunting. But neither of them could shake the feeling that this was the only way forward. Are we ready for whatever comes next? Sarah asked, a hint of fear in her eyes. Together, he reassured. Then, drawing a deep breath, he added, we might uncover more than we expected during this journey. Maybe even truths we've kept buried. As Sam clicked the print button, the noise of the printer filled the silence. Each invitation was a small spark, lighting the way towards something unknown. Would their community rally around them, or would old tensions rear their ugly heads? The anticipation hung thick in the air, a buoyant mix of hope and dread. The morning light spilled through the kitchen window, illuminating the scattered invitations on the table. Sam and Sarah stood side by side, surrounded by a sea of paper and pen, anticipation charging the room. The sun felt warm against their skin, almost as if encouraging them forward. Let us break this up into 2 groups, Sam suggested, pulling out his notebook. We should start with our close friends and allies. Then we can tackle the tougher folks, Henry's family, the ones who may not see eye to eye with us. Good call. Those who have cheered us on deserve to hear first, Sarah replied, biting her lip with a mix of excitement and nerves. Eager chatter filtered through the living room as they began engaging few close friends. They reached out to Steve and Mia first, their laughter immediately lifting the tension that had built between the couple. Steve's boisterous voice made everyone smile. This is going to be amazing. I can already see the garden growing and the community coming together. Mia chimed in, her voice warm and encouraging. And it's so brave of you. You've both faced so much already. The love and support we'll send your way will be unstoppable. After hours of planning, their initial excitement began to wane, replaced by an encroaching doubt as they worked through the list. Each invitation sent felt like a step closer to revealing their scars, their vulnerabilities. Uncertainty loomed like dark clouds on the horizon. They're going to think we're foolish for reaching out, Sam muttered, rubbing the back of his neck with anxiety. What if they choose to stay away? Sarah took a deep breath, her hands clasped in front of her. We cannot control how others will react, but we can control our truth. Nothing changes without the first step. Even if it's just one person who decides to join us, it's still a victory. With steady resolve, they powered through the final invitations, each one a beacon of hope. Sam wrote an additional note on a few of them, a short apology for any past misunderstandings. Sarah focused on their unity, adding her own reminders about growth and starting fresh. Darkness slowly soaked into the evening sky as they finished, the printer's soft hum fading with each completed invite. Just when they thought it was time to celebrate, a sudden peal of thunder rattled the windows. Sam glanced outside, feeling the first droplets of rain begin to fall. Of course, a storm, he murmured, half joking. Maybe it's a good sign, Sarah said, her eyes lighting up with optimism. Just like a plant needs rain to grow, maybe this community needs a little push to start blooming again. Before they could fully celebrate their efforts, Sarah's phone rang. Her heart dropped as she glanced at the screen. It was Henry. Should she answer? The tension in the room thickened, a mix of apprehension and hope swirling within them. Sam, what do I do? She whispered, hiding the phone behind her back. What if he challenges everything we've just built? Just remember why we went through all this, he replied, his voice steady even as his own heart raced. Whatever he wants to say, we can handle it. Together. Taking a deep breath, Sarah hit the answer button. The voice on the line felt like a storm in itself, but beneath the tension, there was something else, a question that could change everything. Sarah, are you seriously inviting everyone to the farm? Even us? Henry's tone was charged, cutting deeper than expected. Her heart raced. Yes. Yes, we are. And with those words, Sarah realized they had crossed a line, one that brought both fear and excitement crashing headlong into the moment. Choosing to be authentic meant facing whatever came next. Would Henry's family follow her lead, or would it mean uprooting even deeper resentments? Sam watched her face transform, a mixture of determination and vulnerability. The storm outside intensified, mirroring the emotional chaos within. Together, he whispered again, but would it be enough to weather the tempest ahead? As the rain pounded harder, the future hung suspended in uncertainty, awaiting the thunderous revelations yet to come. The rain came down in sheets, relentless and urgent, echoing the tension that coursed through Sarah's bones. She held the phone tightly, the weight of Henry's question hanging in the air like the charged atmosphere before a lightning strike. Are we really doing this? Sarah whispered, barely aware of her own voice as she gazed into Sam's eyes. His reassurance was a lifeline, anchoring her in the chaos. Absolutely, Sam replied, stepping closer to feel their connection in this storm of uncertainties. This is our chance to shift everything. We can't turn back now. Sarah felt her breath hitch at the thought of what that meant. Facing Henry and his family, tucked under a canopy of shared history, felt daunting. But then again, she wouldn't have been standing here if they hadn't decided to be brave. The invitations weren't just an open door, they were a call to transform their community, to nurture new roots. Look, she said, voice steadying. Let us hear what Henry has to say, together. I mean, we can't avoid it forever. It's part of the process. With a sharp intake of breath, she turned her attention back to the phone, trying to read between the lines of Henry's tone. He wasn't just an obstacle, he was a piece of their history, bound in complexity and unspoken emotions. Sarah, he continued, quieter now, you know this isn't just an invitation for coffee. It's bigger than that. I know, she replied softly. We're trying to pull everyone together. To heal. To move forward. A crack of thunder rolled outside, shaking the house around them. Sam flinched but quickly regained his composure, his eyes locked on Sarah as if he were grounding her in this moment. The joy they envisioned, the community they hoped to build all felt just a whisper away, yet suffocated by the storm cloud of past grievances between their families. Do you really think they'll come? Henry asked, skepticism lacing his voice. I choose to believe it, Sarah declared, her heart racing as if suffering a wild adrenaline rush. Cowards don't invite controversy. They hide from it. We want to build bridges, not walls. What if they don't see it that way? Henry countered, doubt heavy on his tone. Then we fight for it, Sam interjected, his voice firm. Every hard conversation is a step toward understanding. If we don't put ourselves out there, how will change ever happen? This time, silence stretched between them, thick as the rain smashing against the windows. It felt like an unsteady dance between doubt and hope, each heartbeat fueling the other. You're serious? Henry finally said, almost disbelievingly. It was a question but also an invitation to make sense of everything they had endured. Sarah nodded slowly, feeling the acknowledgement of Henry's willingness to engage. Yes, we are. Whatever happens, we will face it together. I won't do this without you. All right, then, Henry relented, but she could tell he was still catching up to their momentum. I'll be there. As the call ended, a sense of clarity washed over Sarah. The storm outside was fierce, but it felt different now, like the air clearing after a long drought. She had taken a step towards reclaiming her narrative, and in that instant, a flicker of courage began to ignite within her. Turning to Sam, she took his hands, feeling their warmth against hers. That's one invitation down. We've set the ball rolling, it's our truth now. He smiled, squeezing her hands. Yes, and we're just getting started. The room brightened, both by the fading storm and the broader vision they shared. But underneath that lightness, the reality of Henry's family loomed. Would they be as receptive? The tension wasn't over yet. Just as they began to breathe a little easier, Sarah's phone buzzed again. Who now? She wondered, glancing nervously at the screen. The name sent a jolt through her heart. It was Henry's sister. Sam, she gasped, feeling a mix of dread and hope flood her. What if she doesn't agree with any of this? With their resolve tested anew, the future hung teetering on another precipice. Would this invitation strengthen their cause or deepen the rift? Only one way to find out, Sam whispered, and Sarah could feel the swell of the storm gathering once more, louder and more demanding than before. Sarah stared at the screen, a knot tightening in her stomach as seconds ticked away. Each buzz felt like a ticking clock, counting down to an uncertain future. What if Lydia responded with anger? What if she pushed back against the invitation, throwing cold water on their ambitious plans? The stakes felt impossibly high. With a shaky breath, she finally pressed the answer button. Lydia? Sarah. Lydia's voice came through, smooth yet tinged with an edge. What are you doing? Trying to pull us all together, Sarah replied, her heart pumping louder than the rain. You know how much this means to us, to our families. A beat of silence followed, and Sarah could almost hear the gears turning in Lydia's mind. You're inviting everyone, even after everything that has happened? Yes, she said, attempting to steady her thoughts, drawing strength from Sam's unwavering presence next to her. We can't move forward without acknowledging the past. We have to face it. It's not that simple, Sarah. Lydia's tone was direct, clipped. Do you really think your little gathering is going to erase years of hurt? Their past loomed large like a shadow, thick with unspoken words and painful memories. Sarah felt deep-seated frustration rise within her. No, but we need to try. This battle isn't just ours, Lydia. It's about our families, our communities. We need to heal. Lydia scoffed softly. You think just like that, everything will change? You know the divisions run deep. You'll just be opening old wounds. That's the thing, Sarah pushed back, her heart racing. We can't keep pretending wars don't exist. What if, just what if, we could create a safe space for all of us to truly talk? For a moment, the line was silent again. The storm outside had begun to lessen, but inside, tension crackled like live wires. Sarah held her breath, wondering if she had truly reached Lydia or if it was all falling apart. Honesty can hurt, Lydia finally replied, softer now, almost hesitant. But it can also heal. Exactly. Sarah's voice bubbled with hope. I believe that too. If we don't stand up and make the first move, how will we know what's possible? A pause lingered, and Sarah clung to the silence like a fragile thread. She could feel Sam's energy beside her, a grounding force pulling her forward even when she felt like she might break. Okay, I'll consider coming, Lydia finally said, her voice stronger but still cautious. But you need to be prepared. Not everyone will agree with this, with you. I wouldn't want it any other way, Sarah breathed out, a weight lifting off her shoulders. They needed this moment of truth. It was what this whole journey was about, facing the chaos head on. As they ended the call, Sarah leaned back against Sam, the rush of relief washing over her. That's 2 invites down. We're gaining traction. But Sam's expression had shifted to one of resolve tempered with uncertainty. It's still early, Sarah. This will get bumpy. We still have the rest of your family to face. She knew he was right, but in that moment, doubt couldn't dampen the hope shimmering inside her. Every ounce of courage built the foundation for something monumental. As they shared a small smile, another buzz jolted Sarah from her thoughts. Sam's brows drew together in concern. Another message? Sarah glanced down, only to feel her heart race again. It was a group text from her parents. "Are you serious?" she murmured, dread creeping back into her bones. "What if they're against all of this?" "We can handle it," Sam said, his grip tightening around her hand, a steady heartbeat of reassurance. "Let us take it one step at a time." But she couldn't shake the feeling that whatever they were facing next could shake the ground beneath them. What had her parents to say that would tilt their daring plans? The rain had stopped, but the tension still sliced through the air like rolling thunder. Sarah took a deep breath, her fingers hovering over her phone as she prepared to read the message from her parents. The weight of anticipation felt heavy in the room, pressing against her chest like a storm cloud lingering after the rain. "I'm scared," she admitted to Sam, her voice barely above a whisper. "I don't know how they'll react." "Just remember what you're fighting for," he said, squeezing her hand gently. "You're not just trying to get everyone together, you're healing generations of pain." She nodded, drawing courage from his words. With shaking hands, she opened the text thread. The bright blue bubbles illuminated her face like a spotlight, and the anticipation of their response made her heart thump louder. Suddenly, her mom's message appeared, a simple hi, Sarah punctuated with an uncharacteristic emoji, a butterfly. It was unexpected, and for a brief second, Sarah held on to that semblance of hope. "We received your invitation," her mom continued. "We're not sure if this is the right time to bring everyone together. So much has happened." Sarah's heartbeat quickened, and she felt the pull of disappointment looming like an unwanted guest. Her mind raced as she absorbed the words. Doubt seeped in like water through cracks in a dam. "See, Sam? I knew it," she murmured, her voice trembling. "No," he urged gently. "The door is still open. Keep reading." Taking a deep breath, she scrolled down, and her mom's next words sent a wave of warmth through her. However, the message continued, "We want to come talk. Let us discuss it. We need to face it together." "Together," Sarah whispered, feeling a glimmer of hope. "That's all I'm asking for." Just then, another message appeared. This time, it was from her dad. "Sarah," it read, "this isn't easy for us, but we're willing to listen. Do you really think this gathering would help everyone?" "Maybe it's a start," she replied instinctively, her fingers flying across the screen. Sam leaned closer, intrigue sparkling in his eyes. "You have their attention, Sarah. That's huge." "I just want to show them that we can break the cycle," she said, a sense of purpose igniting within her. "We can rewrite our story." The conversation with her parents continued, and the messages were a mix of apprehension and cautious willingness. Each word exchanged pierced through her earlier doubts, forging a fragile bridge toward understanding. Still, the journey ahead seemed daunting. They had decades of grievances to navigate, but that was the price of reconciliation. As the sun began to set, casting an orange hue across the horizon, Sarah felt a newfound clarity. She could see a path forward, albeit dim. "But this is only the beginning," she said, her voice steadier now. Sam nodded. "What's next, then?" "You have Lydia and your parents on board. You're going to need to tackle the rest of your family. They'll be another hurdle." Sarah swallowed hard, understanding the weight of his words. "Yeah, and I have to invite them, too. At least give them the chance to consider it." As she reflected on the challenge ahead, her phone vibrated again, this time buzzing with dozens of notifications. The group chat was alive, people responding to the earlier text about the gathering. Her pulse quickened, knowing this could rattle her plans more than anything. With urgency, she opened the group thread. Words flashed before her eyes that sent shivers down her spine. "Are you seriously inviting them? Do you really think this will work?" Her heart sank. Disbelief mixed with unexpected anger boiled within her. As she prepared to respond, a thought echoed in her mind: what if they never see the potential for healing? With newfound determination, she tapped the screen, fingers hovering just above the keyboard. But then, another message from Lydia came through: "I'll talk to my family. We'll be there. Just be ready for anything." Taking a deep breath, Sarah realized the intensity was only building. What were they all prepared to face when this storm finally landed? The certainty of confrontation loomed closer now, but within it was the potential for radical change. How far? Were they all willing to go to embrace that light? The days turned into a blur as the gathering approached, excitement and anxiety weaving together like foliage in the heart of summer. Sam and Sarah stood on the porch one last time, their hands gripped in a bond that had grown stronger through shared hardships and hopes. "Are we really doing this?" Sarah asked, her voice steady yet carrying the weight of unspoken fears. "Absolutely," Sam affirmed, glancing around the farm that had witnessed their struggle. The sun cast a golden glow, promising a new beginning. They had decided to hold the gathering outside, under the old oak tree on their property. Sam had spent days preparing, clearing the space, setting up tables draped in white and adorned with wildflowers. The inviting scent of freshly baked bread wafted from the kitchen while laughter bubbled up from the preparations. The day arrived and the air buzzed with anticipation. As the first guests trickled in, Sam's heart raced. Each familiar face that crossed the threshold filled him with hope but smashed against a wall of doubt. Would they see the lasting journey they both embraced? Murmurs swirled as family and friends gathered. To Sam's surprise, even those who had previously judged him were now opening their hearts. Sarah greeted everyone with her radiant smile, a beacon drawing them together. Sam marveled at her transformation. She stood tall and confident, shedding the weight of the past like an old coat. "Welcome, everyone," she called, her voice carrying through the gathering. "We're here today to share stories, to find common ground, and to create something beautiful." As the food was served, conversations bloomed. The atmosphere felt lighter, hardly tethered to old grudges. Sam spotted Henry making his way towards him. The tension between them grew heavy, but Sarah squeezed his hand reassuringly. "Remember what we talked about," she whispered. "Our truth, together." Just then, the moment felt electric. "Henry." Sam broke the ice, forcing a smile despite the lump in his throat. "Glad you came." "Yeah," well, Henry hesitated, shifting from foot to foot. His tone was softer than before, laced with vulnerability. "I came for Sarah. Didn't he know what to expect? But I've got to admit, it's good to see you both making an effort." This felt like a seed of breakthrough, but Sam hesitated. "We've both got history. Let us work on that, right?" "Let us," Henry nodded, adding, "this place looks amazing." As the afternoon unfolded, guests wandered into groups, sharing heartfelt stories and memories. The laughter sparkled under the sun like scattered gems, diminishing the barriers that had once seemed insurmountable. When the time came for them to share their own story, Sam felt a rush of warmth envelop him. "I want to thank you all," he began, voice steady despite the tides of emotion. "This journey we're on isn't just ours. It's ours, together." Seeing familiar faces nod in understanding ignited a fire in him. The past may have been turbulent, but they had all traveled different roads that intersected here. "We've faced many storms," he said, glancing at Sarah, whose eyes shimmered like stars. "But today is about hope. About planting seeds for something new and beautiful." His voice resonated, echoing the heart of their shared experience. "We come from a history steeped in struggle, but together, we can rewrite that story." Sarah stepped forward, her voice barely holding back tears. "And it's time to begin healing. To grow together, not apart. I hope we can all create a space where honesty thrives, where we confront our fears, and where we stand side by side." The applause came, soft but steady, rippling through the crowd like the gentle warmth of spring. Tears of joy glistened in Sarah's eyes, and Sam felt a sense of pride surging through him, pride not only for the effort they had put in but for the warmth that swelled within the community. As the gathering drew on into the evening, laughter mingled with stories of hardship and redemption. Embraces flowed freely, and like stars breaking through the clouds after a long storm, hope surged in waves. Finally, as the dusk approached, Sam caught sight of Henry and Sarah deep in conversation. She was beaming, her hand animatedly gesturing, her joy infectious. In that moment, Sam understood, this was the start of something far bigger than he had dared to hope for. It wasn't just about healing the relationship with his daughter, it was about redefining their entire narrative and forging a deeper, unified community. As laughter echoed and the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with shades of orange and purple, Sam felt an overwhelming surge of gratitude. They had done it. They had turned invitations into a gathering of hearts, a celebration born from vulnerability and courage. Let us keep growing, shall we? Sam whispered to Sarah, his heart full. She turned to him, eyes sparkling with dreams untold. Together, always. Tomorrow was another day, and the journey was far from over, but standing hand in hand, arms wrapped around each other, they felt ready to embrace whatever came next. Now, as you reflect on this transformative unity and journey of healing, remember, you need to subscribe now to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories, packed with inspiration. This is your moment to show support by hitting that like button. Let us help this story reach those who need to hear it. Share your reactions and feelings in the comments below. We can't wait to hear from you. And don't wait not even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this kind of transformation. Together, we can cultivate change.